Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, cats and kittens of all ages and spectrums of existence. Today is August 7th, 2018, and I am bringing to you this week's episode of Articulate Thoughts, which is a personal blog of mine which talks about thoughts, ideas, experiences, and observations about conscious dance, which is a movement practice that uses dance as a form of moving meditation, or as Gabriel Roth has put it, movement as spiritual practice. And today's topic is a body language. It's very interesting to me because dance has always been like a language for me, and you know, the movements are the sentences and the words and the paragraphs, and the music that the body is moving to is kind of like the topic of conversation. And it's always been intriguing to me because every body is different, uh, but it's very similar. Like everybody has vast majority of bodies have like heads and two hands, 2 feet, and knees and legs and arms, and shoulders and hips and waist and chest and faces and all these really similar body parts. But the range of motion and the flexibility or the natural compulsion to use a certain set of movements or a certain style of movements, it's always different for every person based on their own experience or what type of other movement practices that person may be involved in. And it's been a very, very interesting thing over time for me to observe how the variety of different movements of different people in dance classes have been over the past years. I remember when I first started doing conscious dance, it was very appealing to me that there was a lot of yoga practitioners, and watching people um, do their, show their flexibility and their range of motion was very intriguing to me. And people that were also getting down low to the ground and being on the floor. I never really used to do that. I was very hesitant about being on the floor. I just had all these things in my head about all people's feet, and it's all dirty and it's all dusty and it's kind of weird being on the floor. But it's something now that I've learned to play around with some more, and it offers a different experience, a different range of motion, and also just a feeling of being supported by the ground and feeling my body against something sturdy. And then I could also um, explore different range of motion that I wouldn't have normally. Like what I really enjoy doing, for example, is just lying down on my back and just kind of pretend that I'm falling in the air. I'm just kind of like waving my arms and legs around, particularly my legs. I'm just moving them in all these like sorts of different angles that I usually can't because my feet are on the ground and I'm standing, so I can't, swing them in certain angles and directions. So it's always fun to play with that idea. So when I first started, there was a lot of yoga practitioners around, and there still are, and it's something that actually inspired me to start a yoga practice because I was watching all these people in their range of motion, and I was like, wow, like I used to be able to move like that when I was a kid, but man, I could barely like lift my leg over my hip, and it was just really, um, you know, I felt very limited, and I just remember when I was a kid how free it felt just to like be able to swing my legs, as high as I could, and I wanted that back. So I started a yoga practice, and I'm loving it, and it's a really great complementary practice to add to dance or any other practice I would imagine. I mean, I don't do it as much as athletics nowadays, but I can imagine it's just stretching out the muscles and creating space within the body to have more range of motion. Another thing I wanted to share was a very interesting observation I experienced on Friday, where I was in the room, and I was with a lot of dancers that I've never danced with before, and I was like, wow, this is very interesting. This room has a very high level of somatic intelligence. Um, Observing how the people were moving and dancing. I wouldn't say they were like dancers per se, but they definitely were familiar in their bodies. They were comfortable in their bodies, and their movements were more smooth than a regular person's. And I found out later that a lot of them were either martial artists, and there was one character that was a parkour artist, which is like the art of traveling in a creative way. So a lot of it is like a lot of flipping, jumping, and hopping, a lot of climbing, and just kind of using objects to creatively move the body. At least that's how I interpret the art of parkour. And I've never really met anyone in a dance class that does parkour as like their regular practice. So it's very interesting to see, okay, this person moves very differently. I wonder what they're doing. And like I hear all the time people say, I love to just people watch. I like to just sit in public transit or sit in a cafe and just watch people walk down on the street. And that's a very very you know observant thing to like participate in, and then very like it is a very interesting thing because again, like everyone just kind of doing their own thing, and you kind of wonder what's their story based on a little fraction of what they're sharing, with the world, and like how they're walking down the street or how they're dressed or the expression on their face. But if you want to take that experience of people watching and kind of like listening to body language to another level, check out a conscious dance class. It's very very interesting because there's another element of people doing their thing, but it's kind of in this container of you're in a room and the intention is to dance, and there's music, and it just outrageously interesting, intriguing to me to sit in a corner sometimes, or just not maybe sit in a corner, but just kind of be more observant in the grander picture of the dance, like the dance of the collective consciousness in the group, and to see how like people are moving and like wonder like how like what are they experiencing and what are they feeling. And if you haven't given it a try before, I highly recommend it. It's just a very intriguing thing, and it's one of those things I could talk about it day and night, and you know there's going to be my own filters and my own interpretation and my own biases, but it's my experience, and it's one of those things you got to experience for yourself. You just got to step in the room, experience the energy, and come into your own dance, and then share that dance with others, and then kind of have this conversation through body language. It's very intriguing, it's very lovely, and it's a connection that I think is a little bit lost nowadays with a lot of technology. There's a lot of texting and a lot of phone calls and all these other things, ways of communicating, but body like communication through body language is something that is not as prevalent nowadays. And I think these conscious dance classes is a very great environment and space and lovely crowd of people to experience that type of interaction with. So um, yes, today there is a dance going on. I will put the link for that in the Dropbox below. So if you're interested in that, check out the website, and if you have any questions, reach out to me. And inshallah, I will see you on the dance floor. Or not. Yeah. Where's that cursor? There it is. Haha. See you later.